In the South, he saw blacks terrorized, lynched, and beaten, and poor whites indoctrinated with race hatred by their employers in order to prevent any chance of black-white working-class unity. Across the nation, he could see politicians and judges bought and sold by John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil Corporation and the other big companies, and a political system in which women and most blacks didn't even have the right to vote.
The candidate we are supporting tonight has stood for us and fought for us for the last 25 years of his life. Along with Martin Luther King Jr., he put his life on the line so that all Americans, regardless of color, could receive their basic democratic rights. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to place in nomination this evening the name of one of the great leaders of our time and a man who has waged the most courageous and exciting political campaign in the modern history of this nation. I place in nomination with a great deal of personal pride the name of Jesse Jackson.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, a society which neglects, which oppresses, and which disdains a very significant part of its population, which leaves them hungry, impoverished, unemployed, uneducated, and utterly without hope, will, through cause and effect, create a population which is bitter, which is angry, which is violent, and a society which is crime-ridden. And that is the case in America, and it is the case in other countries throughout the world. Mr. Chairman, how do we talk about the very serious crime problem in America without mentioning that we have the highest rate of childhood poverty in the industrialized world by far, with 22% of our children in poverty and 5 million kids hungry today? Do you think maybe that might have some relationship to crime? How do we talk about crime when this Congress is prepared this year to spend 11 times more for the military than for education? All the jails in the world and all the executions in the world will not make that situation right. We can either educate or electrocute. We can create meaningful jobs, rebuilding our society, or we can build more jails. Mr. Speaker, let us create a society of hope and compassion, not one of hate and vengeance. Thank you.
What's going on, buddy?
It gives us great pleasure and a real sense of gratitude that one of the great leaders in the United States Senate is here today. We're going to have to be brief because we've got 1,000 people inside. Welcome to the state of Vermont, Senator Barack Obama.
Thank you very much. I think all of us feel cynical about politics sometimes. You know, it seems like it's a business instead of a mission. It seems like power is always trumping principle. It seems as if our self-appointed leaders lack leadership. And so sometimes we get disheartened. And sometimes we pull back. And we say, you know what, nothing's going to change. And yet when you look at the two men standing beside me, it's an indication, in fact, that things can change. That we can overcome that cynicism. That when ordinary people decide that they want a different future for themselves and for their children and for their grandchildren, and they come together and work at a grassroots level, then it doesn't matter how much money is spent, it doesn't matter what the powers and principalities say. In fact, we can bring about a change. That's what this election is going to be about, and that's why I want to make sure that everybody is as enthusiastic as I am about making sure that these guys end up in Washington where they can keep on stirring up some trouble.
My question for the candidates is, do Black lives matter or do all lives matter?
Black lives matter. And The reason those words matter is the African American community knows that on any given day, some innocent person like Sandra Bland can get into a car, and then 3 days later, she's going to end up dead in jail, or their kids are going to get shot. We need to combat institutional racism from top to bottom, and we need major, major reforms in a broken criminal justice system in which we have more people in jail than China. And I intend to tackle that issue to make sure that our people have education and jobs rather than jail cells.